You have to hope that there's no Lightforged Cariol, or if there is, then the early game was pretty poor and you have time to ooze. And then you have to be able to kind of time the scabs to where you can push a bunch of damage and then go over the top, potentially the next turn if taunts are replayed. So you're dealing with a three-pronged card deck assault.
you are indeed. And that particularly punishes Paladin over other classes because it doesn't have the mana ramp. So Paladin sort of plods. It's got this long, slow, plodding curve. It doesn't miss a drop usually. But when you're at 9 mana because scabs have just bounced everything, well, you've just got to play an 8 and a 1 or a 4 and a 5, and it's just not particularly pretty. So I do agree that it might hinge on the scabs. There's Fled, living at the bottom of Gamer RVG's attic.
Gamer RVG is just right under. Right under
I think he was above. I think the ladder was going down.
Corner.
Was the ladder going up?
The ladder was going, well, ladders, I don't know if you knew this, Neil. Ladders go up and down simultaneously.
Oh, wow. Well, that's me checked out for the whole broadcast now while I sit there and ponder this revelation.
Yeah, a ladder is a ladder is a ladder, you know?
Well, it's different, actually, because Europe's ladder is much harder than some of the other ladders in Hearthstone to get rank 1 legend on, because Gabby plays there mainly.
But you can still go up and down. Oh, the emote. Oh, the vibe. Oh, it's there. Oh no.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a Viper in every single one of Flood's decks. There's 2 Vipers in the Quest Warrior. There's a Viper in the Ramp Druid. And, 2 Vipers in the Ping Mage. So...
Look what it's done to Luna's hand. She has absolutely nothing to do this turn. Just 3 mana dagger, hit a 1/1. Oh, TJ. And you get emoted? Ooh.
True strength comes from within.
Meanwhile,
it's going to be a lot of pressure, especially with Hand of It All being picked up. This is going to be 8 damage. There's 11 damage on board.
That's absolutely ridiculous. And that's another card that does nothing to really alleviate. Yeah, it will remove a minion, but eventually. Who do you think, out of Fled and Super Fake, which one is the most emotive in their camera actions?
Super Fake.
Yeah, okay, that was an easy question.
Yeah.
I'll try and ask you something harder later. I'm just warming up, sort of.
I mean,
pitching a nice
ask that
low,
question.
Easy.
Literally any GM versus Super Fake. It's always Super Fake.
Yeah, with any question at all. Like.
Yeah. All right. Well, game 1 done. We talked about the prize pool for an individual week of Grandmasters longer than that game lasted.
I think that's what we normally do, but this game was even shorter than usual. Yeah. even shorter. And the importance there, we talked about it, the Paladin, possibly the weak link there, and one on turn 4.
Yeah. Didn't expect that, to be quite honest, but sometimes that happens. Had a great early curve with double Aldor attended, and even though Luna did have the shank, she prepped out a deadly poison and didn't have second shank to follow it up with the other poisons that she had in hand, and the Viper was there.
I think
sometimes that's all it takes.
The quantity of Vipers we are now seeing, because it's not just Fled that's got a Viper in a lot of decks. I think a lot of players have put Vipers in at least 2 of their decks. Do you think that's going to start to warp the meta to any extent? Do you think some people start going with 2 Vipers and some people going, oh, weapons are bad because there's so many Vipers? Do you think this is actually a thing now? We're back to the Harrison cyclic metas where you had to actually guess not only what decks people were going to bring, but what sort of techs were going to come in?
I don't know, because the decks that are at the top aren't really going anywhere, and they all have, not all have weapons, but most of them do have weapons. Even Kazakhstan Druid can have weapons. And it's quite a bit different from the days of old. Restaurant Viper is just so flexible. It's cheap, with a decent sized body for the cost. Just passes the vanilla stats check, and it's tradable. So if you have it in your hand against a deck where you're not going to need it, you can just get rid of it and pick a different card for 1 mana. So I feel like Demon Hunter, Rogue, Warrior, Paladin all have very crucial weapons that need to be destroyed. And because of how, malleable Restaurant Viper is.
Luna is not going to enjoy something about these snakes in the game.
Yeah, it's funny because that's a pretty good hand from Luna too.
Yeah, Fled's playing 6 Vipers. He's got 2 Vipers in this deck. This isn't a one-off.
Yeah.
This is a double Viper action deck.
Yeah, and it's just as likely that Fled would have Viper than Luna would have Shank. Maybe slightly less, just because Fled always keeps Quest. So there's 1 less mulligan to be able to get it. But
I think
there it is.
both decided in the last day or two that sort of letting the Rogue have a turn to ruin their game by building up their Shanks the way forward with Viper. You give them 1 turn, because 2 on Shank's not hurting you, so you let them have 1 good turn with it, pile up all the goodies, and then blow it up later whilst developing your board. Fled agrees.
And I wonder if Luna's just going to Paralytic Poison Cutting class here. Because there's no reason to add or Swindle, but either one. There's no reason to add the next poison, because you're just killing this for 3 damage anyway. And then, I wonder if Fled just, well, now you have to play the Viper. Okay. If there was another card, potentially. Yeah. There's also another Viper in Fled's deck, so it's not like this is the end.
Yeah, he kind of didn't have a choice there. Like you say, more Vipers still to come.
Another happy guilty.
Oh.
Now,
Problem Luna has here is
Viper.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it gives Fled a draw.
Yeah, and with Mr. Smite backing this lot up as well, Luna...
It's got 8 attack.
Like the cloak, unless she gets an absolute move on here, I don't even know how she's going to get it going so fast. The cloak is just going to be too slow. But I've written off Weapon Rogue too many times before. Maybe it's possible here. She senses the danger. I think that might have been a chance to play the Garrote. But she found better cards, so she didn't need to.
Yep.
So Fled has to set up 2-turn lethal here, unless he has a lethal, which I don't think he does.
No.
And then Luna has...
It's reasonably close, but...
She has a lot. She gets 2 swings to win this game. There's 2 stabs in hand, a prep, a poison, a cloak. Like, the gubbins is there to do it with. Eight, 12. Oh, Sinister Strike. Is this enough?
Over 2 turns? No. Because this weapon only has 1 swing left. So you push 6, 18. There's not 18 points of burn left in the hand. Even if both poisons came out, there's not 18 burn. It's 11 plus maximum of 6. That'd be 17. And that's if every bit of damage in the hand connects with both of the Garrote bleeds.
Right.
Being drawn.
So with that in mind, she has to play the Garrote, play the cloak, hit another cloak?
Yes, and then also hit damage, more damage. Okay, well now Scabs wouldn't save her theoretically because of the Mr. Smite, unless she's healthy enough, which is possible. But Flood's going to continue to just armor up here.
It's another cloak.
Oh,
Getting closer.
so now you can fit in dagger swings over the next 2 turns as well.
Yeah, and Scabs will reset some of this.
Yeah, so now we're looking at a guild trader as a potential out.
Oh, she didn't Sinister Strike. What am I missing here?
She doesn't need to. She's waiting. She knows she won't have enough damage. She's going to have plenty of mana to be able to execute all that. If you look at those cards, it costs 3 mana total. So she's waiting for guild trader to be able to have the amount of damage. Okay. Flood's going to kill off a minion. No reason to have it around. You want to be able to make sure that you have board space to charge some of these pirates.
Oh. So... still quite a lot of damage needed for Luna, but...
yeah, it's got to be scabs.
Yep. Let's see how Fled gets this done now, suddenly.
Yeah.
Cannoneer, Smite.
Didn't play a pirate last turn, specifically because he wanted to be able to get the second quest completion when these 2/2s were out.
Yep.
In order to have a chance to kill them. No weapons in the deck. Oh, but does have the freebooter. So actually has 2 chances at killing off this 8 attack.
Yeah, by getting the cannons available. Yeah. Okay.
But then you can't armor up. Yeah, I was thinking you just go Cannoneer Freebooter.
6, 12.
And then armor up. That's lethal.
Yeah, Luna's got 21 available if I've counted that correctly. I counted it quickly, so I could be wrong, but it does look like lethal.
21?
How much are you making it?
17.
Plus Guild Trader?
Oh, I was thinking he was going to clear. So I think Fled needed to go Defias Cannoneer plus Freebooter. Like start with Defias Cannoneer and then go Freebooter and armor up. Because if he had killed both of the shades, right?
Yep.
And then armored up, he'd be outside of range because he'd be 17 damage. So it'd be 1 off unless she picks up 1 point of damage. Yeah, because now it doesn't have enough. That is going to be lethal.
And that is one of the difficult decks for Luna out of the way. So the 2 of the 3 decks we talked about at the start, insta winning just to show what sort of people we are. And still going to have her warrior as the biggest problem, but this has really made it close now that the rogue has escaped from the clutches of the super Fled lineup.
Yep.
Yeah. 21.
Yeah, it required a heck of a draw for Luna there. Needed cloak into scabs exactly, and hit that. So, and I still think Fled had an opportunity there, right? Because the Defias Cannoneer isn't when you have a weapon, like when you attack with a weapon. It's when your hero attacks.
Yes.
So it counts as Storm Freebooter. So that turn, I would have started with Cannoneer. Then you get the quest completion, and then you have the freebooter to attack with the Cannoneer.
Yep.
And then you get 2 more cannons. It wasn't guaranteed, but then you can still fit in an armor up. We saw that Luna ended up drawing Silverleaf Poison. She would have had enough mana to go Hero Power Guild Trader, which is 2 mana, Wicked Stab, so that's 6 mana, Sinister Strike 7 mana, and then Secret Passage with 1 mana remaining in order to find either the second bleed in the deck or Prep Garrote or the second Sinister Strike. So they were still would have been outs, but I think he left some percentage points on the table.
Enough of that, TJ. Enough of that. Look at what's in front of you. Look at what's in front of you. What are these cards?
Oh, geez. I don't even know. I didn't even know what to put in the key cards. I put Wildfire, King Mukla, and Big Game Hunter, which are... I don't know. Are they even relevant? Probably not.
I don't know.
For any of these matchups. King Mukla, great against combo decks. Are any of them relevant? Is this relevant? Am I relevant? I don't even know. I don't even know what's relevant anymore. This deck has a chance to gain a ton of armor. with, oh geez, it's gone now. The Deepwater Evoker, you draw a spell, you gain armor equal to its cost. You have 2 7-cost spells plus 2 10-cost spells in the deck, so you gain a ton of armor that way. You have Mask of Cthulhu and multiple ways to copy it to deal damage from hand. Works well against combo decks because a lot of times they have empty boards. You have Mask of Cthulhu, Magic Dawngrass, and the Grey Sage Parrot in order to repeat that effect. You also have the damage from hand potentially in the form of Mordresh Fire Eye, which can be a board clear plus 10 damage to the face if you've managed to get those pings in. It's got 2 Vipers as well. The Weapon Rogue's out of the way. The 2 Vipers could do some work against Demon Hunter and could do some work against Warrior. So I still think Luna's in for a tough time. This deck specifically, you're just removing the board, and Fled doesn't really care much about his board.
It's so funny. Like, listening to you talk about it, listening to Sottle and Raven talk about it earlier as well. Whenever you talk about this deck, it sounds like there's 50 cards in there. Because normally you describe a deck and it's like, well, Weapon Rogue. It's got some weapons, it's a rogue, and it's got some damage. That's it. That's the deck. It hits you in the face. Or you know, Mizaki Mage. It's got Mizaki, and your spells get big, and you hit them in the face. Or Face Hunter. You play your cards on the board, and you hit them in the face. This deck's just got a load of rubbish that you have to talk about each card to explain how it fits into the deck. I don't know how this happened. It's so good in a construction sense because it's so different.
Yeah. So I honestly don't know what Luna's game plan needs to be in this game. Like Mutinous?
I thought it might be this. Yep, just keep it.
But what are you trying to Mutinous?
Ken is my instinct because it's so hard to remove.
Yeah, but what's
huge
like what?
Mutinous? Just get a huge minion while you're trying to set up all your other stuff.
Yeah, that's
and
what
them with it.
That's what the big game hunter's there for.
Okay, eat the big game hunter then. Solved. I can't think of how. I want to keep trying to be really awkward to you, and I can't think. I'm running out of ways.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yes, it can get big, but I don't think it can become game winning. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll be proven wrong.
I feel like this might be pretty murdery from Fled because he's drawn all of the cards that cost less than 3. And now he's just going to be guaranteed to sort of continue to play on curve after this Viper, once again, comes down. He's going to start playing big stuff on curve while Luna's messing around trying to clear up all the stuff that's on the board that needs dealing with.
Yep. Deepwater Evoker is great. 1 Wildfire already being played, so less likely to pull that. There's 4 other spells in the deck. Ice Barrier also being pulled. So yeah, there's literally just the 4 spells left, which is double Mask of Cthulhu, double Drake Fire Amulet. Oh my gosh. What the heck, man? And that's if Luna just doesn't die on 7.
Yeah. Just normal looking cards. Oh, there's the mask.
Okay. Well, Frozen Buckler plus Shield Shatter can do something.
That's one of the troubles we talked about with this Warrior deck. The removal is, it's a really weird way to describe removal, but it's very linear. Sort of, you play a thing, I kill your thing. You play a thing, I kill your thing. You play 2 things, I kill them both. But the Warrior kind of runs out of that stuff, and this is why Cairn is in this deck. They're quite clearly targeting the Warrior, and removing 2 Cairns in 1 turn is super hard. And you're down to 13 already. I know she's going to get armor back, but the pain just keeps coming while she's messing around with the Cairn. The mask is coming into play. Even if the Mutinous now eats the Mordresh, which would be irritating for Fled, he's got enough health to just ignore the huge Mutinous if he has to. 7.
Yeah.
It's just 7 health. We must mention, actually, that I think she's going to die in the next turn or 2, but Luna has actually got a huge number of combo pieces in her hand already. Yeah, that's the hope for her. Got to the front. He's got the guy whose name no one can say. Faceless. Battlemaster.
Oh, this is actually awkward.
Play the greenest
Perfect.
card with the highest cost. Yep. So this is pretty big.
Yup. All right. Where's your big game hunter now?
Yeah.
There's a small chance for lethal here.
Yeah, it was a decent chance in his eyes until the meters.
It's lethal. Okay.
It takes it down. Who needs a big game hunter anyway? 2-1 to Fled. Luna is not having a good time if it's 8. Everything is just getting vipered. Oh my goodness. And Fled's, I don't know who's the more distraught there. Fled's like suffering as well. It's such a close game. How did that go through?
I mean, sometimes that happens, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like crazy unlikely.
No.
5 out of the 10 had to go face with 3 targets, and the other targets wouldn't die. So it's a 1 in 3.
I'm on it, TJ. Keep talking. Keep talking.
I don't know. You can do the math. It's a 1 in 3 10 times,
And you've got to hit at
it has
least
to be
5.
5 on a specific outcome.
So, according to this calculator, there's a
5%.
21.2% chance of hitting at least 5 times.
Okay, that's not crazy. 1 in 5 is not crazy. But Luna was pretty close to stabilizing as well, especially without Mordresh to back things up. The reach for this deck is not like that insane. It's Mask Cthulhu and that's it. And Mordresh, which was eaten by the Mutinous. And Luna had Rakara loaded up for the next turn, which not only is 10 armor, but it's also 10 damage over 2 turns, which combined with the 2 massive minions on board probably would have been enough. So pretty unfortunate.
Yep.
But I do think that it was a rough break for Fled in the previous game too, right? So it kind of evens out.
Yeah, it feels like all 3 games have been kind of unlucky for the person who lost it against what you'd expect from the positions they got into. As in, Luna got vipered in game 1. That's the position she got into. It wasn't exactly a long-term outdraw situation.
Yeah. So this matchup is interesting, right? Because your early board presence is not strong enough as the Pirate Warrior to go for these quick wins, you know?
Right.
It's gonna get picked apart. But once Rakara comes into play, and you can maneuver it so that you play it the same turn that you can complete it to play around the possibility of mutinous, then things kind of get a little crazy. You can also get out of range of the combo pretty easily with this deck. Once you've expended all your resources, you're just relying on Rakara for the quest warrior, the quest reward Rakara.
Yes.
You are essentially armoring up every turn because you just don't have enough mana to spend on like 1 card a turn. You've dumped your hand at that point. So you can get up there in the armor count. It makes it difficult for the charge warrior to actually get enough damage across, and you have consistent pressure, right? You have something that spawns every turn and a weapon every turn.
Yeah, it's important to get that early damage in. Obviously, it never gets over the line, or very rarely gets over the line, but the early damage is what controls what the warrior can do to you. If they're massively on the defensive, they have fewer options to mess around gaining armor and such like. So all this early chipping around is important. Then, like you say, we get into this weird little Rakara game where you try and set that up without having an accident, And this is the beginning of that game now. Fled trying to calculate, so when do I want the Rakara? Would like the Viper to play around a potential Bulwark, which is in Luna's hand. And he feels there's enough pressure there, and we are going to see Rakara in the next couple of turns, setting up for a Mr. Smite here as well. Just keeping Luna busy.
Yeah. Well, next turn is most certainly going to be Mutinous. Maybe not. Okay.
Not now, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the 723rd snake we have seen in this match so far from Luna. Source, official stats person.
Are you?
So Fled's just got the option to straight up do the smitey thing, and it's tempting. Well, he wants to do all of the things here, but allowing... Oh!
Oh!
All right. That's why he did that.
So, I'm going to be honest. There were 2 minions in the hand. Either one of them would have been pretty rough.
Yeah, they were both that noise moments. Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing... obviously, the Galvangar is much worse because there is a point in the game where you could just go combo Galvangar faceless, because she does play 2 faceless. And even though you're not dealing lethal damage on the turn you're playing a combo, you still have 3 9/9s on board, which Pirate Warrior just doesn't deal with, especially this variation from Fled, where, you know, we saw the old ones which played like Lord Barov and a little bit of removal too. This one sacrifices that in order to play more tech cards like the Vipers. So that is obviously the worst one.
You've got to feel sorry for Luna here, because she's sitting here calculating how to do all this over the next 2 or 3 turns with a Bulwark in hand, and it's just going to get Vipered. It's going to just ruin all of her plans anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, this is decent, right? You
Yeah,
get
this
to
is
kill
nice.
off the mutinous. But it doesn't change the fact that without Galvangar, Luna doesn't have this opportunity to go for a big push at any point in the game, even if the 2 faces were picked up, to try and go for some type of board swing and stick those 3 9/9s on the board. And Fled's destroyed the Bulwark and has Mr. Smite.
Yeah, and also has Plan C, probably won't be needed, that you described, which is Fled also has 40 health.
True. So there's potential for, Magtheridon, and maybe like you faceless a Magtheridon once it emerges, but currently there's no way to get this Magtheridon. She could start with a trade on the heavy plate.
You might need to play it.
Well, there's 9 damage showing.
I mean, she could just lob out the Magtheridon now, heavy plate so she doesn't die, and go for some sort of brawl if she doesn't draw the card.
Brawl next turn.
Or she can trade it away and look for a way to do it this turn.
Ooh. Maybe looking for Mr. Smite? Nope. What's this Mr. Smite's attack at? Is it at 8? 6, 9. Oh, that's lethal with that. I think it's at 8 attack.
Okay. That's pretty ridiculous.
Oh, no, because the Viper got buffed once and the weapon got destroyed at 2 charges, if I'm not mistaken. If this goes face once,
there you go.
That's at 6 attack. We're looking at 9, 10, 11. That's lethal. It's at 6. Okay, didn't get buffed at all. My bad.
Wow.
Well, all right. That actually ended a lot quicker than I thought it would. Just because of all the shenanigans that happened, Mutinous forcing Luna to change the game plan and deal with the 10-10 after it hit Galvangar. The Viper coming down on the Bulwark to even cut off more time for Luna to be able to stabilize. I thought like Rakar would come out and it'd get a little bit grindy, but was just able to get there with pirate stuff. And I mean, this is what the lineup is designed to do. It's designed to beat like warriors and rogues. We didn't even get to play the Demon Hunter. We didn't even get to talk about what those matchups would entail. And I feel like the Demon Hunter was kind of in a similar spot as the other ones, where your attention is focused on removing these early game boards, but then the Mutinous, the Viper, the health gain, all of those things are adding up at the same time as these decks are going on the offensive, and it just would make it very difficult. So Flood does take the series down 3-1. But it was a lot closer than I expected if you look at the each individual deck matchup. So props to Luna for hanging in there and having some outs in certain situations, specifically almost going up 2-1 in the previous game by making this giant board.
And even the game she won, she basically was going to lose that unless she played to a very specific set of outs, which she then got. So she did her part in trying to contend with it, but sometimes you just win Hearthstone in the deck construction phase. It's underrated these days because a lot of people sort of, probably rightly, just look at the best decks and play them because that's a pretty decent strategy, let's face it, if you learn to play the best decks well. But sometimes people like Fled, people like Superfake come up and they just go, you know what, I can beat those decks convincingly with a lineup that isn't that risky and find a way to do it, and that's what they've done. And I'm excited, TJ. I'm excited for Flair. I'm excited to see who he's going to be playing in the final.
As am I. And that second semifinal is going to be Dreadeye versus Frozen. In very different lineups outside of the Demon Hunter that they both have. The Demon Hunters do differ